Aaron is with us, Bloomington, Illinois. What's up, Aaron?
Hey, Dave. How you doing?
Better than I deserve. How can I help?
Well, real excited about this. Thanks for taking some time for me.
Sure.
I work with a solar company, and we have just been on a growth trajectory ever since I've been a part of the company for the last going on 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
And we're now getting to about 80, 90 people. We're at about $20 to $25 million a year. So, and again, I was the first employee. I remember when it was nothing like that.
That's fun. So how many years ago was it 10 people?
10 we would have been probably by the end of the second year. So maybe like 4 years ago.
Oh, wow. That's a pretty heavy curve. Okay. So there's more of them than you.
Oh, yeah. So
Quickly. Yeah.
Yeah, quickly. Like we had a quarterly meeting today, and I'm kind of awed by all the people in the room now.
Yeah. You're the old guy.
Yeah. And that's kind of how it feels some days. And it's really not been that long, but yeah, so we're playing in a bigger boy league and kind of feeling our way through it. And what's happened is I've gone from being employee number one. Now I manage the sales department. That was kind of the side of the company I've always stayed on. And just, I maybe it's new to me. Maybe it's just new to our level of things. You know, we've really tried to push on, we need to have core values, and we've got some written down. Those are crystallized on kind of an executive level. And what I'm just thinking is, man, there's people, it feels like, constantly coming in the door to jump in, and some of them are seasonal, but on my side, they're not. They're all salespeople and the administrators accordingly that just make the ship run on my corner of things. And what have you guys found in your growth on maintaining some of the cultural pieces that these are non-negotiables, while you've just got, again, just things and work kind of coming in the door, and that can kind of overwhelm sometimes the cultural values, because after a while it's like, you just got to get stuff done.
Yeah, if you don't, you're very wise, because if you don't start looking at it the way you're looking at it right now, you're probably a little bit late actually to do it, but you're very wise to recognize this need, because what happens is you have this neat culture and everything's purring along. Everybody trusts each other. There's a family feeling with 20 people. And then you add 30 more. There's more of them than you. That's what I was talking about. And all of a sudden they are dictating culture instead of you dictating culture. And so all the new people are bringing the culture in rather than accepting the old people, becoming acclimated to the old, right? So what you've got to do is get around in front of it, which is what you're describing, and what can we do proactively to maintain or reinsert, in your case, you may have lost some of it, reinsert the values and the culture that got us here, okay? So number one, the leadership team needs to huddle up and be in agreement on this. We need alignment with the leadership team, and then we need to implement, culture mandates, so to speak. Now, that starts with the hire. We're not going to hire people who do not want to engage and align themselves with our values.
Right.
In the interview process, these are at Ramsey, we have 14 values, or the principles are who we are. And if you do not want to align with those, you don't want to be here, because you won't be here. We'll move you out if you don't quit.
Right.
This is who we are, and if you're going to be a we, that's in the interview. And then it's again on the onboarding. We onboarded 8 people on Monday here, just a couple days ago, all right? And all 8 of them in the 2-day onboarding, they're going through, one of the things they're going through is the core values, so they know who we are. They don't get to bring their culture to us. We have a culture, and they are joining it. This is a very, very clear distinction. And what happens is if you just hire people left and right, they just bring in their stuff if you don't demand they adhere to yours. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So let's get alignment on what's important here and who we are. And then in the hire, in the onboarding, and even in the discussion with some of the people you've hired in the last 2 years that didn't have the benefit of the new onboarding and hiring, where you say, this is who we are. Do you want to be a we? You know, our culture is We have a level of customer service. You don't seem to care about the customer. You just want to make the sale. That's not okay. We do this. This is what we do. Do you want to be a we? And we talk like that around here every day at Ramsey, all day long. And anytime we have to have a difficult conflict conversation with someone on a performance issue, it always has to do with that kind of a thing. It's a we thing. We don't do that here, or we do this here. And you need to align with what we do if you want to be a we. And then you can create, what you've got is a uniform culture expectation that you're measuring against, just like you were measuring against a sales metric. If you say, okay, here's your key performance indicators on sales, you have to make this many cold calls, have this many actual contacts, you have to have an average order value of this size, the kind of thing I'm talking about. You're working through the rejection ratios. It's what you do as a sales leader right now. You show them how to do that, and then if they're making half that number of calls, they're going to fail. And right. It's because they're not aligning to the metric. And in this case, the metric is a soft skill called a value, and they need to align to the metric. And then the last piece of it is, I told our team this last night, at every 90 days, we have a final welcome to the people who have been here 90 days. Because during the first 90 days, you're on probation, and we are on probation. And end of 90 days, we have a little celebration that you've been here for 90 days. Now you're part of the family, okay? We used to bring in wraps from Chick-fil-A, and I would just sit and answer questions and talk to them. We called it Wrap with Dave. Nowadays, it's a little more complicated than that. We do this thing, but we had about 50 people last night that were at their 90 days, and my son, the president, and I both got up, talked to him, walked him through what it means to be Ramsey. Again, this is our values. Again, this is who we are. And I'll tell you how we capped it off. It's fresh on my mind, and so it's a great question. What we do now is I sit and explain to those 50 people, when we were a company of 50 people, people told me you will never be able to maintain the culture that you've got now when you get to 100. And then when we got to 100, we did. And they said, oh, well, you got to do it at 100, but you'll never be able to do it at 200. And then when we got to 200, it was even better. Now we're at 1,000, and it's the best culture we've ever had. How is that possible? Well, we spend some money on it. We eat together, we talk together, we laugh together, we play together, we communicate a lot. We're very intentional about it, but you can do those two things and still have a screwed up culture if you allow everyone in the building to not function to the values. You've got to function and align your behaviors and your belief system to those values. And if you don't want to adhere to that, you don't need to be in our building. So what I tell the team is, I have figured out the secret to having a world-class culture with 1,000 people in one building. You want to hear it?
Yeah.
We're not the creator of culture. They are. And I tell those people sitting in front of me, a lot of them young people, of course, right now, if you go create the place that you want to work in, if you say, I'm going to be kind because I want to work in a place with kind people, I'm going to pray with my friend who's sick because I want to work in a place where it's okay to pray with my friend who's sick. I want to perform with a level of excellence and a desire to win because I want to be around a bunch of people who drive the ball and put it in the end zone and win the Super Bowl. You need to go be the kind of person that creates the place that you want to work in. And if you guys don't all create the culture that you want to work in, we're going to be one of those sucky corporate America companies, and then I'm just going to shut it down because I don't want to own one of those. I can't do it. I can't run around like a little bee pollinating culture for 1,000 people all through this building. It's logistically, physically impossible. If you don't create the place you want it to be, it won't be, and they got it. And then we hand them a little glass. We have a glass that's etched. It says Culture Creator. So every time you take a drink out of this glass, you remember your job is to create culture while you're here. Create the culture of the place you want to work in. And deputize them as culture creators. Everyone in here, make this the kind of place you would want to work in. If you owned it, how would you want it to look? How would you want people treating each other? How would you want people, coming in late, leaving early? Would you want people working 90 hours? I don't. I want them going home being with their families. but I don't want them coming in late and leaving early and sitting on Facebook all day, unless their job is to sit on Facebook all day, like social media people or something, right? But, I mean, you see what I'm saying? And so you've got to go through and first get the values clear, then create some of the positive things, and then tell everybody make more of that. That was the formula I just gave you.
Yeah, got it.
Helpful?
Yeah, immensely. Thanks.
Hey, man, we appreciate you. You're amazing. I love the growth story on what you're doing. You guys are getting it done, man. The economy's bad. Not if you work with Aaron. He's not whining. He's getting it done, man. Hey, remember, better a wary warrior than a quivering critic. This world needs more high-quality leaders, so take courage and lead. I'm Dave Ramsey, your host. Thanks for listening to the EntreLeadership Podcast.